Good evening, everyone. Good evening. That was mighty weak. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
There you go. Thanks for coming to our county council meeting. To every one of you, I'd like to call the Sumter County Council regular meeting for Tuesday, March 14th to order. Let us please stand for the invocation, remain standing for the pledge of allegiance. Ms. Beaver, please give us an invocation.
Let us pray. Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we do thank you for allowing us to come to the table again to do the business that you've appointed us to. We invite your presence and ask that you abide with us that as we go through every item on our agenda. We ask your blessings upon everyone under the sound of my voice. We ask that you continue to bless our county administrator and his staff and all council members and help us to be able to find solutions to the many problems that we have, all the issues with the roads, with the litter, with the things that our constituents are in need of, and the laws of the land have been a hindrance in helping us to get it done. Help us to find a way to meet the needs of the least of these, our brothers and sisters. And as we go through our agenda, we ask that you give us wisdom, understanding, clarity of mind. Help us to never forget the men and women who are serving this country in uniform, whether it's local or abroad. Help those who are in harm's way, help them to feel your presence and let them know that they are not alone. These and all blessings we thank and ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Tonight, we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by U.S. Air Force veteran, retired Chief Master Sergeant Curtis L. Evans, who served for 30 years of officer service. He served our country from August of 1989 to August of 2019. He's a Gulf War service veteran that supported the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. He currently lives in County Council District 1. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Sergeant Helms, thank you so much for your service. Appreciate it. That's Air Force.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. Grew up around Shore Air Force Base. Thank you so much. I want to present this to you on behalf of County Council. Hope you will cherish it and keep it. This is your day. I'd like to take a quick shot with you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you so
it.
much for your service.
All right. Thanks. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go, sir. All right, thank you.
Ms. Manning, are there any changes to the agenda? We have a motion to approve. It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve our agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed. We have a motion to approve our minutes from our regular meeting for Tuesday, February 28th.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve our minutes from our last meeting on February 28th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is land use matters. Ms. Rudman, RZ 2301.
Good evening, Helen Richmond for planning staff. RZ 2301 is a request at 3221 Camden Highway by Mr. Christopher Raffield, the property owner, to rezone 3 parcels that total approximately 20 acres from residential land to agricultural conservation. These properties are located on the northeast side of Camden Highway, just south of the intersection of Camden Highway and Seegers Circle. One of these properties is Mr. Raffield's home site. The remainder of the tract is currently undeveloped. The property itself is currently zoned residential 9, but it has never been developed that way other than the single home site that is on the property. It's our understanding that the applicant is requesting this rezoning to allow for the placement of at least 1 mobile home in accordance with the county requirements. The only zoning districts that allow manufactured homes in the county zoning ordinance are agricultural, conservation, and general residential. This request is being brought forward for agricultural conservation because the comprehensive plan land use designation and because of environmental factors that make higher density housing highly unlikely on this particular property. This is part of a larger area that's zoned R9 that's generally bounded by West Burlington Road and Camden Highway and Queen Chapel and Ebenezer Road, as well as Thomas Sumter Highway. So it's almost kind of the center of that R9 enclave. It is not in close proximity, well, it's in close proximity to public water, but public sewer is not available. It will be served by private septic. And based on the National Wetlands Inventory topography on the site, it's highly likely that a portion or a large portion of this property is actually a Carolina Bay, which is a type of isolated wetland. The reason this is significant is because it's highly likely that the soils in this area will not perk for large quantities of manufactured homes simply because of the soil characteristics. That's likely one of the reasons that it has remained undeveloped for this many years. When we look at rezoning requests, we look at the comprehensive land use plan designation. In this particular instance, it is in the military protection planning area. The comprehensive plan does support rezoning this from R9 to AC because R9 is a zoning district that allows higher density per acre than what is recommended in the military protection planning area. Rezoning this property to agricultural conservation reduces that density to 1 unit per acre. We do find that this is in general alignment with the policies established in the comprehensive plan. Planning Commission will recommend approval of this request based on it being in alignment with the comprehensive plan, as well as the fact that there are some significant environmental factors in the property that make it impractical for R9 development with a lack of septic or a lack of sewer service in the area. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Where's he going to put the mobile home? I mean, it looks like there's not many areas you can put one.
I think it's right in front of the existing house. I think the house is in such disrepair, you can't afford to repair the house.
There is a singular lot here where you see the red.
Yeah.
This is the current
Yeah,
home
I'm
site.
familiar with it.
Yeah, and then this area here and possibly this area here would maybe support a manufactured home. So I think best case scenario, you're looking at maybe 3 or 4 manufactured homes if you were to ever fully develop it, but there is the infrastructure cost of adding a septic tank, etc. Right now, all that we're aware of is a singular home.
Move approval for reading. Second.
We move to properly second that we approve first reading on RZ 2301. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. First reading of RZ 2301 is approved. RZ 2214, third reading.
There have been no changes to this request since second reading. It is my understanding that Ms. DeBose has spoken with neighboring property owners. She is also here this evening if you'd like to speak with her. We continue to recommend approval.
Move for approval. Second.
Second. It's been moved and properly seconded that we have third reading on RZ 2214. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Third reading is approved. Thank you, Ms. Ruth. The next item on the agenda under new business is a request for the approval of a resolution proclaiming April as Fair Housing Month in Sumter, South Carolina.
Move for approval. Second.
Ms. B, do you want to say something, Ms. Lance?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to approve proclamation proclaiming April as Fair Housing Month and something. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Item number 2, under new business, is discussion and possible action concerning Delane Elementary School. Mr. White.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As you know, Mr. Chairman, Delane Elementary School is in District 1, which is the district that I am honored to serve. And recently I received correspondence from a law firm by the name of Turner Caldwell, who is representing Liberty Steam School. And they sent a correspondence to the Sumter School District, essentially saying to them that they were in violation of a proviso 1.113. And they are requesting that they be given right of first refusal to purchase Delane Elementary School. I've been contacted by constituents, I've been contacted by public officials, I've been contacted by the Sumter Branch NAACP in this regard. And so I've taken a look at the correspondence from the law firm, and I have written the school board, and I've taken issue with some of the comments and positions that the law firm has taken. You will find that in the letter that you are reading. I don't know if the clerk can put my letter up on the screen, if you could.
That's the letter there?
Yes, do you have that capability?
I can go right along with you.
It's not up
That's not it?
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at it.
Okay. This is the letter that I wrote to the school board. Ms. Bland, if you can scroll up slowly so folks can read it. At any rate, the proviso says that if the school is vacant or unused or doesn't have direct student engagement, or if it's on the surplus list to be sold, then that sale would be an option. And the correspondence only identified direct student engagement. And so in my research, I have discovered that the school is being used. It's being used as a voting poll precinct. It's being used by the Sheriff's Department for training. And it's also being used by the district for refrigeration and storage. I would also tell you that there are some other potential uses that have been raised by a number of constituencies, including the county. The county has expressed a desire to move the Delane Community Center to a portion of the school because it would serve our needs. The school has a small gymnasium, it has a commercial cafeteria, it has a large playground, a large area where seniors can walk and exercise. And so it would be the perfect location. And so I responded indicating all of those things and sort of identifying that the tenets of the proviso would not suggest that we're at the point that Turner Caldwell is suggesting. I submitted a letter to the school board. My understanding is that they had a meeting last night. There was no action taken on the meeting, and I am sharing this with council. Ms. Blandon, would you scroll a little bit, and then if you would go to the Turner Caldwell letter so folks can see the initial letter that was written. But a couple things. There's always an opportunity if people want to move into a community to interact with the community directly. As a council member, I often have to stand up in front of council members and explain what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do. And if an entity has a desire to come into the community, they should operate by the same standards. School board needs to have a conversation with the community, as well as the company that is interested in coming into the community. At this point, the community feels extremely disrespected by the approach that was taken. And so that's something that we're going to have to work through. The community, there will be a community meeting in the next few days to have additional conversation about this. I am advising council of this because council has been gracious. County administrator has been gracious. And quite frankly, we reached out to the school district last year before the new administrator came in and expressed a desire for the school. And those conversations are ongoing. And so I wanted to brief council on this, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Okay, I've got just one if I could.
Sure.
You're talking about something that we have no power over, correct? The school board will determine this, right? Is that, I'm just from my education on this.
From a legal perspective.
So we don't have any strings to pull or anything to do with this.
Well, I'm not asking council to do anything.
What are you
This
asking
is
me?
just a briefing.
Okay.
But I do reserve the right to come back and ask council. It may be taking a position, it may be writing a letter, it may be whatever, we think is necessary. But at this time, I'm just sharing this conversation with council as information because we do have an interest, and our interest is the Delane community wants to use the school as a community center.
I remember that.
Shore Air Force Base has expressed a desire to use it as a leadership academy. There's an opportunity for them to use the school for food service as an IT hub. There are just a number of things that the school could be used for. And one other fact, and I'm glad you raised that, one other fact that I want council to know, because council members talk to school board members as well. Delane Elementary School, according to the facilities study, the structure of it, the school's structure is the best in the school district. And so I wouldn't think it would be to our advantage, at least from a business perspective, to sell the school that is the most structurally sound school
But we can't
in
sell
the
it.
district.
We can't sell
No,
it.
you can't sell it.
Yeah.
I'm speaking for
The
the
board.
school district. That would not be a wise decision. And it would also not be a wise decision for the school district to create competition for the school district by selling a public school to an outside entity. That just does not make business sense any way around.
So just from what I gather, you're saying that you're against this lawyer who sent a letter because he has not communicated with the community.
No, I think the tenets of what the lawyer is saying is not accurate. His letter says that the school should be put up for sale because the school doesn't have direct student engagement. That's not what the proviso says. The proviso says it can be put up for sale if the school is vacant or unused or doesn't have direct student engagement. The school is not vacant and the school is not unused. So it doesn't meet the tenets of the proviso. Personally, I think it's illegal.
Yeah.
That's just my personal opinion.
There's a state law, I guess when you say proviso, that we're saying there's a state law that says that a school district has to sell a school after
It's a
school.
proviso,
Okay.
which means
After.
which means it is a 1 year provision. That's all a proviso is.
They could just sit there.
And a proviso cannot supersede state law.
Okay.
And this is a proviso. Proviso 1113 was introduced last
Well, that was
year.
just, I was just confused because
I got you.
we don't have a whole lot of
Right.
decision making with it.
Well, I think the impact of council's conversation is impactful to the community and it's impactful to businesses or a business who may have an intent to do something like this.
Okay.
And so that's why I think it's important. It's in my district, obviously. I'm not asking you to do anything today, but I may come back and ask you to do something, and I would hope and expect that you would do what I would do if you had this situation in your district. And I'll tell you what I would do. I would be supportive of what you're trying to do, particularly in the rural areas. We don't have a lot of schools in rural areas. All of you saw the news report last night about how tardy the buses are. A lot of that's from rural areas. And so we have to make sure we protect rural communities. And if you look at the last page, it has the state law, which essentially says, can you go to the last page?
Is this it right here?
South Carolina Codes of Laws, the last page, Ms. Bland. And it specifically says, nothing in this section requires the owner of a building on the list to sell or lease the building or a portion of the building to a charter school or to any other school or to any other prospective tenant. It's very clear. So again, this is just a briefing for council. I've been contacted by constituents and I have a responsibility to represent my constituents. But just as a matter of principle, if the school district or some outside buyer is interested in coming into the community, they need to do what I have to do, which is stand up in front of my constituents and explain to them what I want to do. And that has not been done, which I think is inappropriate and disrespectful to that community.
Mr. Chairman, may I have one of privilege as well? Yes, I would just like to say that I support what Mr. Washington is saying. I thank you for bringing this to our attention. As you were saying, it's not every day that we can find a really good building in the rural area to use as a building to increase the quality of life. And I equate to my community to what your community would be going through, because we have the building, St. John, the former St. John Elementary School, and the previous school board did approve for that community to take over that building. And I'm very familiar with that Delane building, and it is very well crafted, and it has so much potential. And I just feel like whatever is done needs to be done fairly and equitably, and not giving anyone any preferential treatment, but level the playing ground. And like you said, the county was looking at acquiring that building to expand the community center over there, because we are trying to have quality of life in every community. And I think that would be a great opportunity for us to utilize that facility for that purpose. And so, yes, thank you for bringing this to our attention so that we can have a voice as well in whatever comes out of this whole situation.
Thank you, Councilor.
Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, that completes my comments, unless there are other questions for me.
Thanks. Next item on the agenda, we did have a Public Works Committee meeting.
Yes, all the members were present, and we first of all discussed the litter update, which was very interesting, and I think we're making a lot of progress with the litter. I think all of us were feeling real good after we heard that today. And then second, no action was needed, and secondly, we started talking about the private roads again, and we're still studying how to figure this out. Seems like we've kind of run into a roadblock about every time we get somewhere with it. But we're going to continue. As Councilman Washington said, we'll continue with this. No action was needed with that either. That's my report.
Thank you. Report from council members on other meetings, trainings, and our conferences. I'm sorry. Councilman Washington and I attended the 2023 Rural Summit in Beaufort, South Carolina on Monday and Tuesday, March the 6th and the 7th. And the discussions range from a major discussion on litter, and I'm sure that Councilman Washington will tell you our eyes were opened in that we are ahead of the state, when I say state, the other counties, when it comes to what we're doing in order to try and combat the litter situation. We had many of our fellow councilmen from other counties ask us questions about what we're doing when we engaged the committee in the discussion. There were other discussions, public transportation, tackling brownfields. Those are areas that cannot be built on because they are in some ways contaminated. Very good panel discussion between Representative Gilda Cobb-Hunter, Representative Roger Kirby, and Senator Ronnie Sabb. That's where the bulk of the litter conversation took place. So all in all, it was a great conference, and I was glad that Councilman Washington and I were able to attend. Monthly reports, Ms. Bennett.
Yes, sir. Council members, it's almost that time of year when you need to make sure that your statement of economic interest is sent in, and please get with me. I think I've given you all some information about that, but it's all the electronic, and the only person that can fill out that paperwork is, of course, each elected official or official from the county. Additionally, there's a cultural music festival at Patriot Hall on March 17th, and those of you that are going to the farm get some, that's on the 16th. You should have it too about that. Mr.
County Administrator's report.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, our clerk has put up on the board, and you will receive, obviously, the 2023 budget schedule. You can see how it's outlined, and it's based on the readings with a couple of extra workshops built in. Would note that we certainly have the opportunity to add additional budget workshops if necessary. We generally try to do those on off weeks from council. So what we schedule basically are scheduled council meetings with preliminary budget workshop ahead of that council meeting. So we're still gathering information, reviewing information. We'll have a couple of scheduled meetings over the next couple of weeks with some of the department heads to flush out some more of the information regarding their requests. So we're in that process now. But again, this is a preliminary schedule that you can kind of factor into your schedules moving forward. But we certainly will potentially have additional meetings if needed. The second item I wanted to mention was that we received notice that FTC has received from the state an allocation of $3,638,502 of broadband funds for Sumter County. There are 4 counties that FTC serves. And Lee County was the largest area at $5.9 million. But with that $3 million, just over $3.5 million that they've been appropriated for Sumter County, they proposed to lay 85 miles of broadband cable. So a very significant project. I don't think this is the end of it, but certainly this is a major start. We worked closely with FTC early on trying to identify some low areas in Sumter County or slow areas in Sumter County. So I expect this will have a major impact on our community and look forward to additional information from FTC regarding broadband. I'll have some.
Thank you. Come now to the public comment portion of our agenda where citizens desiring to speak to council. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. All comments are to be made through the chair. I now declare the public comment portion of our agenda open. Anyone wishing to address council, please proceed to the podium and state your name for the record. Roland Robinson. Mr. Chair, members of council, I do realize that you all have a very difficult job for where you sit. But I'm here today to say thank you for what you do for the citizens of Sumter County. I know you don't hear that too often. But now, I'm here to address the issue with F.J. Delane School, which is in my community. Councilman Washington has been very helpful with us and worked with us in the community. But I'm here today to solicit all of y'all support, all the council's support. F.J. Delane School was built in the late 50s. I attended F.J. Delane in the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. And so it's a part of our community. That land this Delane School sits on was donated by Black family members to build a school on. And now there's plans to take that from our community. We don't want that to happen. We're not going to let that happen. So we need your help. We need your support. Whatever level you can do that in, whatever way you can help us. We can have different training programs, other operations, community center. It would be a great idea for that community to still be viable. So I'm thanking you in advance for your support. And I know you will do all you can, because I'm asking you to do that for me. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Robbins.
Good afternoon. I'm Tasha Gardner. Just wanted to remind council, on March the 25th, we have our second quadrant kickoff at the Sumter Civic Center. It is from 10 to 1 p.m. We invite you to come out and participate. We are doing an excellent job with litter. There's still a lot to do, but we appreciate all of your support. If you would come out and to be with us on the 25th, because we won't have another council meeting prior to that. The second thing I come before council with, my cousin and I, we live on Patricia Drive. It has been the OK Corral. We had a shooting yesterday at 7:05. They picked up over 25 bullets last night. And it is weekly. So if we can find any resources, I'm asking for our sheriff department that does an excellent job. They work along with our neighborhood association, the Great Kirk Creek Neighborhood Association, and all the residents over there. They have been very responsive, very timely, but it's just nonstop. You are aware of the news report of the home that was being utilized for people, luring people in to rob them. The owner of that home closed the home down for roughly between 3 to 6 weeks and had a new tenant in, and the first week they were there, it was shooting all over again. So I'm just asking council if you can find any funds to support our sheriff department in the efforts. And I know my area is not the only one, it's several, but it's for us over in Patricia Drive since the latter part of last year, November, it's been weekly, either on Dollar Drive, Patricia Drive, or on Old Cala. We have shootings almost once a week, sometimes twice a week. I just want to bring that to county council. I thank you, Councilman McCain, for being there for us. He called, when we call, he answers. But this is beyond his reach right now. And knowing, and for even with the sheriff department, we had one officer come out last night and ended up with 4 because with so many showcasing. So I'm just asking council if you can do anything to support our local sheriff department. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner.
Good afternoon, Elizabeth Kilgore, Mr. Chairman, council members. You may hear some of the same things regarding the Delane Community Center. As I was pondering coming before you today, I thought about how we got here with desegregated schools. Without Briggs v. Elliott, Clarendon County, there would be no Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka, Kansas, which brought about the ultimate decision of school desegregation. As many of you know, Clarendon County was represented by the late Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall and the NAACP legal defense fund. I want to take this opportunity to repeat and thank Councilman Washington and the county council as a whole. Because as Councilman Baker said, it's really, when it's with the school district, not a whole lot you can do because they have their elected body too. But let me just share this with you right quick. The very land that Delane sits on right now as we speak, the school district did not purchase that land. It was donated by African Americans, starting with the St. Michael Church right next to the school. And that wasn't the only group of African Americans that donated it. And they donated that land for the specific purpose for Black children to have a school they could attend in their community. And this was during very harsh segregated times when Black and white children were not allowed to attend the same school. Delane Elementary School has continued to be a vital asset to the community. It is currently being used by the community along with other governmental agencies, i.e. voting precincts, as you heard from Mr. Washington, Sheriff Deputies Training. The community has maintained contact with the county administrator, and I want to thank Administrator Mr. Nixon. He's never turned us away. His hands are tied too, but he listens to us, and thank you so much for that. The Delane community members are simply asking to keep them as a first priority for the community center at Delane Elementary School. I just ask that you please keep in mind these kind of things here in Sumter and Sumter County only happens in the Black community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gilmore. Is anyone else wishing to address council?
My name is Kevin Hasty, Mr. Chairman, Council. I'm here today to speak on behalf of my community. I'm south of Pinewood, Sumter, Pinewood area, Starksville area, Urban Lane off of St. Kennedy, back in that area. As you know, many years ago, I'm dating back from what I know, 1950, that road, Starksville, was a dirt road. And when I moved back there, it still was a dirt road up until the 90s. and Stocksville was paved then. And then it wasn't but maybe 10 houses at the most on Stocksville. But the kids back there, my kids and the other kids that was back there, had to walk those dirt roads for a long time. And they still walking those same dirt roads, even now. And the houses that has been built back there, the communities has been brought up back there, everything back there is paved, but those 3 roads. And they're the first roads that's back there. We know that y'all are doing an awesome job. We know that y'all can do only what y'all have been financed to do. We know that. But it has been at least 30 years for me to walk on those roads and see my kids and my grandkids walk on those same roads, and to have 2 pairs of shoes, one to walk through the mud and the other to change when they get at the bus stop. It's not fair. I've passed by years of different roads getting paved 3 or 4 times. 3 or 4 times. And we still yet have, but we've been patient. And we're still patient. Just to see our roads getting rocked. I've been to the Public Works, the county. I've been to them, and I've been to several other places. And I've been told that they can't do anything because it's a private road. I asked them, why is it a private road? And they told me because the county haven't accepted it yet. And I said, what do we have to do to have the county to accept it? She said, we're not accepting it anymore. I said, well, what are we supposed to do now? If you're not accepting anything, any more roads, what about the roads that's being built? What about the communities that being built? Y'all are not accepting them either. What are we supposed to do? I mean, alone I went through 6 vehicles because of those dirt roads. 6. And that's just me. And you got 12 more families back there besides me on that dirt road. And it's not fair for us to indulge on dirt roads and try to make do with what we got. I even asked the gentleman that's over the roads, I even asked him, I guess he's supervisor, I asked him if y'all could just scrape the roads and at least get the size of the road down, or either built the road built up to the side of the road where the water can drain off. We as a neighborhood can keep those roads right. But right now they just taking the plow and going into the banks of the side of the road and cutting in those small ditches on the side of the road. That's still not draining it. At this point, I'm just asking if people please get the roads rocked and eventually paved. That would be a significant blessing to that community. A lot of us, we are old, and a lot of us are in bad health. Me, I've been in and out of the hospital 3 times with 3 major surgeries. And the cancer is still not gone. And I'm still battling. And we got a few more elderly back there that's battling. And we just ask for some help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Anyone else? Now declare the public comment portion of our meeting closed.
For adjournment.
Second. Mr. Properly second that we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Adjourn.